So why do we need to write a research report? Well, basically, this serves many purposes. One of the most important purposes is that you can use it to graduate from the department and school, right? So sometimes it's kind of credential issue. You have to prove that you can with the communication throughout your research paper to show the quality of your education. So that's why we need to write a research report. But more than that, more than just focusing on ourselves, a research report can serve other purposes. That is academic communication. Most of the scholars, you can imagine that we endeavor our efforts, time, money, and resources on a certain issue for quite a long time. We explore the problem, we identify the problem, we try hard to collect valid data, and use all our strengths to analyze those data, right? So we have a story. We do have some stories to tell our readers, right? So we want to communicate. However, academic communication is not that simple as just writing your own diary or just creating a fictional novel. You can freestyle everything that you would like to have. No, more than that. There are certain protocols, certain styles, certain formats, certain ways of citations and references we need to follow. Why is that? Can I just use my style to present my papers to others? Well, of course you may, but the problem is that other readers need to take time, to take their variable time to learn your style, learn your way of writing, so they can understand what you want to talk, what you want to communicate to them, right? So you can imagine this. If scholars in every different disciplinary field, they always use their own style, their way of writing, then the communication will be very difficult. So in academic writing, we always see that we need to have a standard format. We need to standardize the writing style. We need to have so in each different field, scholars inside each different field will agree to take some certain form commonly used by them. As the students we are, right? We need to learn that. So that we can step into the door and say, hey, let's communicate. So that is very important issue for us to keep in mind. Remember, of course, you can just write your own style. Try to present your own stuff so that and tell the other people, say, hey, let's communicate. But if the format, if the ways of your presentation, if the writing style of if your grammar is not so precise, and you have a lot of redundancies out there. When you look at your own writing, you know what it is, but the other people look at the same writing, they will be confused. They have no idea what you want to talk about, right? So learning format, styles is very important. That's why we need to write a research report and with certain format. It's very simple, for the ease of other people to understand your research. That's it, right? Every discipline has different requirements, indeed. But the logic behind their requirements are all the same. So let's try to look at this, and here again, just a very simple principle. It's a basics that you need to know how to write a report. That's it. So next semester, when we formally start our graduation paper process, you will have a manual and all the requirements, formats requirements, references, citation requirements, all the how you should compose your the format of your research paper, the format of your research proposal will be all there. Remember, you have to follow that. Following the styles can serve a very simple purpose. Very simple. other than easier communication, it can show the quality of your paper, at least. So you can imagine this. If there's a style requirement from a publisher, from a journal, right? And you send out a paper and say, hey, can I submit my paper and publish my paper, please? But when they see your paper, the style is not right, the format is not right, then this paper will be automatically excluded from their selection. Why? Because you are not qualified. So fitting into the style and format is the first step to ensure the quality. So you can imagine this, we professors in the department, I always advise my students to follow the format very, very carefully. Why? Because imagine this, every time I myself, for example, I have to read around about 18 to 25 different articles, research papers, right? So the first thing I will look at very much, I will always do the same thing to check whether the format fits the academic standards. If it is not, it's so strange. I will put aside and put it to the last things I would like to read if I have time. So remember, this is the minimum requirement for the quality of your paper. So styles is very important. Okay, don't take light of this. Okay, so let's continue to, let's hope this. Lesson goals for this week is pretty simple. The first one we learned the rationale of writing research reports, why we need to write, right? And I will also provide you a general outline of the research paper. Remember, when we say general outline, it's really general, just perhaps most of the academic papers will be written in this way. So this is general outline, starting with the introduction and followed with a literature review, research methodology, data analysis, and finalize with conclusion. So this is the whole process, general outline. Okay, let's move on to this one. While writing a research report, well, scientific communication, as a scholar or as a student for Department of International Affairs, right? How can you show your quality of your education to other people? How can you show, just we, the staff of the faculty of the department, how can we show the quality of our research to other people? How can we let them know that our research have some real findings that can be contributive to the whole humankind? Basically, of course, there are two ways. One is oral communication. I can tell you, right, but one step at a time, one person at a time. That was very tedious, and people do not have interest at all when they listen to you whining, complaining, or a long story telling. It's just not that. But that's why mostly we will use verbal communication. So a research paper, research report is the principal means of scientific communication. And standardized. All the research papers, research reports are standardized in a way to best meet the requirements of a scientific communication. Okay, so there is a format out there. You will be amazed to find out why all the research papers follow the same format, same logical process. Because there is a very, very good reason behind that. Okay, so remember the keywords here is standardized. Everything is, you have to fit in the requirements for each of the different sections, standardized. Okay, so that is very simple. Scientific communication needs a good written paper. And that good written paper needs to be standardized according to the principles, the formats, the styles set by each of the different disciplines. Very important, okay? Because scholars inside the same discipline would expect that you follow the same format. Because they will look at that, they will check it. When they expect, for example, In the first part of your research paper, they would expect your description of the status of your observation. They will expect what it is, the background of the things you want to explore. They would expect that, okay? And then also they would expect that your research purpose is really something that is doable. And they will expect that your research methodology should be designed to be capable of valid data collection, valid data analysis for your research purpose. There are a lot of expectations out there. So standardize is a key word here, okay? So don't be amazed and don't say that, oh, I don't want to do this, okay? If you don't want to do this, well, it'll be fine. You can go to write a novel by yourself, okay? Maybe you can have a best-selling novel out there with your own style. Who knows? Okay, and there are some major concerns of writing a research report, as I would say. To the point is the first issue you need to keep in mind. To the point. You must be brief and clear. Well, that is sometimes it's very confusing when we say your paper needs to be brief and clear. There's another way to look at this. First one, let's talk about brief. Brief indicates that you need to have shorter version instead of longer one, right? So basically, this is a very simple principle of academic writing. That is, if you can use 2 sentences to express the ideas of a whole paragraph, if that is sufficient enough, then you should use 2 sentences. Okay? Inside 1 sentence, if you can use 5 words to express the meaning of 15 words, then you should use 5 words. Unless you are counting on this for making more money, that is another story, right? Sometimes you are writing words counted by dollar, okay? That's another story. But the risk here is that if you write a lot of redundant words or redundant sentences out there, then you will not get paid because of your writing, right? So brief is very important. So always imagine this. Always imagine this. If your argument can be elaborated in, let's say, 10 sentences, don't use 2 pages. Really. However, it's very difficult to judge. It's very difficult to judge. Why is that? You will say that, okay, I really need 2 pages. But it would be a good idea for you to present the same paper to a professor or other person, YMC or me or Mark, anyone you can think of, to see what is the major theme of the 2 pages. Perhaps after we look at the same pages that you thought that they should be unique from one another. Then I will say, okay, what do you want to say? It's just like this. Is that right? Maybe 5 sentences will be good enough. You will be surprised to find out. So always to make sure that it is brief enough, sufficiently brief, with quality. And the other issue is clarity. You have to clarify your meaning. So don't confuse. That's why it's very important to still remember when we were in the first year, the second semester of the first year, right? We learned how to write academic writing. The learning experience during that course, I believe, you should have some idea. Writing is not about creating a lot of long sentences. It's not. Writing is for communication. Communication is to present something easily to be understood by your readers, right? So this is the key points. So believe in this. Your paper must be brief and clear. So I have been always asked by students, how long should I have my papers? My classical answer for this one is, well, as long as you have presented the idea you feel necessary. There is still no answer yet. But it is indeed, Oh, I have no idea about how many words you need to write. We are not words competition. We are not doing this. We are doing a competition for presenting your ideas, right? So how many words you need to present your idea clearly? I have no idea. I really have no idea. But as long as you feel necessary. That is the very simple answer. And to prevent you writing you write too much, so we have a general rule in our department. It's around 5,000 to 8,000 words in the main text. But normally, some students will just go far beyond that, because they believe they should say more than that. But when they believe that they should write more than that, perhaps this kind of article does not fit the first criteria, brief and clear. Right? It's too much. Okay? And also, this one is the research report must include everything relevant to the problem on the study. It's much easier to say. Much easier to say than really to do. Why is it this way? Basically, must include everything relevant to the problem on the study, right? So let's think about the research problem first. How can you have the research problem? Research problem does not just come from void. It's just coming suddenly. You wake up, you had a dream. Oh, that is my research. No. Basically, a research problem follows with a very reasonable and logical process. First, you identify the scenario you have observed, you have seen, or occurred already up there. Something really happened up there. And once you identify, you describe the real happening out there. This is the first step. And the second step, you have to think, what's wrong with this? If there's nothing wrong with the reality here, then there will be no research question, right? No problem to solve. So there must be something wrong or something confusing or some gap out there. Then how can you identify the gap? You have to compare the reality with something from the literature, your experience, your common sense of the general knowledge agreed upon by all human beings. So basically, it's a comparison. The gap, you feel that you need to do something to deal with the reality. It's come out from the comparison, your comparison with another set of criteria. So what it is, what it should be, right? There must be some discrepancy between these two, so there's a gap. And when you look at the gap, you have to ask one question. That is, do I really need to solve the gap? If you think, wow, solving or answering or filling in the gap can serve some purposes, can help some segments of the people in the society, or can help out to the enhancement of the knowledge in the discipline, well, that'd be great, right? So you have a motivation. So that's why you want to do a research. So research problem come out from here. So basically, everything does follow the same logic. So logic over there. And actually, we have described all the process during the semester. I just repeat some of the focuses here. So, but it's very important for you to keep in mind one thing. How can you learn research methodology well? How? My own experience is very simple, and the lesson could be very, very straightforward. That is, please use 1 or 2 days. Go through the logical process and remember all of them, and summon a group of your friends and tell them what a research methodology should be. If you can tell, if you can teach them, then there should be no problem. You are good. You are already good. Okay, so basically, learning research methodology is about learning the different logical steps of problem identification, data collection, and data analysis. If you all know all the logical process of starting with first identification of what you have observed, and end up with the providing a data analysis, identify the findings, and also discuss the meanings of findings and use the findings to answer your research problem. Meanings of the findings to answer your research problem. If you can do this, then that will be fine. Yeah, that will be fine, right? And all of this are relevant to the problem on the study. Is that right? And this is the logical process. But in a research report, you have to write them out. Okay? And so that to ease our learning curve. So we really have a 当自嗨很久的时候，你先给我编了一下。Okay, fine. What was that? Okay, where am I? I really forgot. Sitting a moment. My goodness. Where am I? I just say, anyone can give me an idea? Anyway, you have to write it down. Oh, I really forgot. Oh, sorry. Don't do that again. I'm so fragile. Anyway, so look at here. Let's just look at the words over here. Theoretical basis and ways of study carry out. Oh, I remember. Yeah, I remember. So starting from the problem identification, right, to using the meanings of findings to answer your research problem. All the process are full of logical steps. But how to make your presentation, how to make your ideas of this logical process obviously and easily understood by your readers. We have a certain format for the research paper to allow you to present the different steps. Is that right? So that is the benefits of writing a research paper. And the good part is that we have a very, very good formats out there. We don't have to invent. We just follow the general principle, general outlines of our research paper. Then we can use each different section to present our understanding of our different logical steps of our research. That's it. Very simple, right? So our thought can be presented from the formats of the papers, because all the different sections will allow you to write out. This is the accumulation of human wisdom, really, indeed. Okay, so you don't have to invent a different format so that I can present all the logical process I have gone through. No, you don't have to, because there's an outline for research paper out there. You just follow it. Then you will find out, oh, when I want to write out my introduction, there's a research part over there. When I need to identify the gap, motivation, and research purpose, in chapter 1 of the research paper, normally it will appear a section for research purpose, right? And when you think about the limits and limitation of your research, what kind of inability for you to conduct research, you want to tell your readers, you find out, there's a section for limits, there's another section for delimits. And you may wonder, I have some special terms I need to tell my readers, so that before they can read my papers, they need to understand the special term first. So there's a section for terminology. So you can see that they are always very, very close. There's the coincidental section there for you to present your ideas over there. So that's why we have a standardized format out there, okay? So including here, everything we can see, theoretical basis, ways of the study carry out, conditions set up to permit manipulation and so on, etc., right? Okay, of course, not only this, it's a whole process. So you will be amazed to find out the formats of a research paper does include all the different logical steps that you need to present to your readers. Great, right? Indeed. You'll find out when you think about something you want to do, there's a part, there's a section inside the format of research paper can allow you to do so. Okay, so general form of research paper. Again, this is very general, very general. That's think about this. We need to present our paper. Normally, we will use a 12-point standard font. What is standard font? Like a Times Geneva, Bookman, or Helvetica. All of this with tail. There were the alphabet of those fonts with tail. So if you see it in Times New Roman, you will see there's a finished tail for the alphabet, right? The T is something like this. This is T. The T, right? But the standard font will have some kind of finished end over there. Is that right? Okay. This kind of font are good for publication. But what about presentation? Do you notice that there's no tail for this one? No finished ends for this one? This font are good for PowerPoint presentation. So normally if you are using a PPT, don't use standard font. Instead, you should use Kobo or Arial, just like something like this. Okay, that would be much without tail, without finished end. You see, there's no finished ends over there, right? Okay, so this is good. So basically, print or type using a 12-point standard font. This. And also, in Taiwan and in most of the Oriental countries, not in the United States, in Taiwan, text should be double-spaced on an A4 paper. But in the United States, it is a letter-sized paper. It's a little bit different. It's different size, a little bit different, not too much. So with 1 inch margin, single-sided. Okay, so basically this is very, the so-called single-sided, you can print only on 1 page, not 2 pages. Okay, that is double-sided, this is single-sided. So basically when you have your final copy presented to a department, it should be single-sided and double-spaced and 12 font. Okay, 12 font. And you have to number your pages consecutively. Number your page. And start each sections on a new page. And this is normally new section. What does that mean to a new section? It refers to a new chapters. New chapter. So in our research paper, for example, our graduation paper project, GP, you should have 5 chapters. Introduction, literature review, research methodology, data analysis, and conclusion, right? So each of the chapters should start with the new page. Okay, it's very important. And you have adhered to recommended page limits. For example, if we ask you not to exceed 8,000 words, 8,000 words should be in the main body. Normally we will have around 300 words in 1 page. So 8,000 is not too much. 30 pages at most, I think. Is that right? But most of the time you write more than that. Don't present a book that thick. Don't do this. If you do this, there are another consideration for this. That is, your writing is not short and not precise. Not at all. Not at all. Okay, not precise and not so you can justify your quality. Of course, if you really have a quality research, you can do something more than that. Okay, and of course, faculty of the department will judge the quality. They will read it to see whether it's really you need such a long space to write out. Okay, this is general, a readable paper. Okay, and there are some mistakes you try to avoid. Basically, some issue are there. You don't want to place a heading at the bottom of the page with the following text on the next page. For example, these are the 2 pages. We have 2 pages here, right? And the heading you have is here. This is your heading. And your main text is here. Don't you think that is very strange, right? So you don't do this. So the final editing is very important. Final editing is very important to present a good quality paper. Okay, you don't do this, okay? And you don't divide a table of figure into 2 pages. Normally you don't. For example, again, we have 2 pages here. We have 2 pages here, right? And some students will do this. This is the page, this is a table, and this is a small part of the same table. You don't do this. You should put them into the same page. Same page. Don't do this, okay? Don't take one table over 2 pages. It's very simple but very easy. If you have no skills of editing, then it will happen in this way. Some students are very strange. They use the soft enter to create a new page. What is soft enter? Soft enter is just using your enter key, right? And click a lot, and you will have, let me find out a Word document for you. Okay, let's see this one. Okay, and some students will do this way. When they want to have a new page, they will use a lot of enter. And this is a new page. Don't do this. That would be very stupid. Don't do this. Because whenever, for example, let's look at this one. Now it is in the first line of another page, right? But how about this? If we change this, if we take this away, then you will find out that it comes out to be here. Then you have to realign all the formats again, right? This is a very serious mistake, especially when the time approaches to the time you need to present your final copy. You will find out a mess when it is printed out. Why is the format is gone? Right? How can we make this right? Basically, very simple. If you want to have this a new page, use your left finger push Control and use your right finger click Enter. Then we have a new page for this. This is called hard enter, hard page. And let's look here. It doesn't matter how much you change for this. And this is still here. Is that right? Very simple, very simple. It's very important, but very simple. Okay, try to do this. And did you see this on the left? It's very clearly laid out, is that right? And this is heading. And when you click here, you will come up here. So this is heading and heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So normally I will teach students to do all this because this is very important for you to have a clear layout. Because when you have a longer paper like this, organization, structure is very important. It's very important. If you do not have this kind of management for your paper, then you will find out it will be very difficult to edit. Very difficult to edit. So you can see here, if the student wants to look at a feasible approach on price reduction, just go there, click it, and click it will to go to the sections, right? Okay, so this is a skill you need to learn. And also, let's go back here and try to see here. This is created automatically by Word program. Because if you have the heading, then you can automatically create this table with no problem, right? And let's look at here, let's move here. Do you see the list of tables and list of figures, list of tables here, okay? This is also created automatically. So let's go to the table. Table is here. I click it, that's it. And this is table. And did you notice that? The table number, if you can see, the table number is a hypertext. Is that right? Okay. So you need to learn this skill so that you can comfortably edit all your paper. And can I just input keying a reference for the table 1, for example is here. If I say C I want to refer to table 1. Can I do anything that can automatically point out the reference to table 1? Yes, I can. There's a cross-reference here. And there's here, cross-reference. So I can use this one and I can choose table. So this is table. And what do I need? So I use a table and it's a number. So here, look here. Do you see this one? This is created by the table, the cross-reference. This is a very simple technique, but you really need to learn it. Simple. Because overall, when your paper is growing larger and larger, this can help you to solve a lot of problems. Other than the using of EndNote, of course. EndNote is an add-on program, so you can see here, there's a bibliography here. There's other. All of these are created by EndNote. Is that right? So imagine this. There are a lot of styles, formats, techniques, editing that you need to learn. Why you need to learn this? Because you want to communicate. Is that right? Okay. So let's look at here again. So look here. In a paper, normally, all readers will expect that in a formal thesis like this, there should be an introduction here. Do you see? Introduction? There should be a literature review, right? And also methodology, and also data analysis, and the conclusion. When all papers are presented in this way, then the readers will have no difficulty to identify the sections that they want to read, right? So you can imagine this. If this is not standardized, then it will be very difficult for you to follow the logical process of the researcher. What is that, right? So you can see it's very straightforward and easy. Okay, just for your reference here. Okay, let's come back here again. And this is something that which will not happen nowadays because all things are printed out with computers, right? Unless you drop on the floor and take it out and mix together. But previously, when we are using typewriters, this happens a lot. It would be very difficult to, in a time of typewriter era, writing a thesis is a torture. Was a torture, indeed. You can imagine that. So many difficulties out there. Compile the table of contents, finalize the bibliography, double check the citation numbers are all correct. And make sure that all the number of the tables, of the figures are all correct. Eventually, when I have the final copy, everything is perfect. Wow, that's very difficult, right? So now you don't have to take this time to do that again. Computer program can help you. So you can be the master of the Word program instead of becoming a slave for Word program. Is that right? So learn something about that. How to learn these techniques? Well, DIY, I think. DIY. Today I told you that you can cross-reference your tables, your figures, right? So you can check it out from YouTube. You can learn something from that. You can learn by yourself. Or you can organize a group of study team to say, okay, let's learn some editing techniques for Word. That's it. Then you can do it. Okay? Or you can just go to a bookstore to find out there are some wonderful tricks to play around Word. There are something like this. And they can help you. Or you can knock at my door and ask me, hey, how can I do this specific process? I can tell you, of course, very easy. But the point here is very simple. Don't count on your manual labor to do this. Let the program do the wonders for you, please. Okay? Don't use your manual labor to do all the editing job. It's stupid, really. Use computer program because they are available out there for you, right? So don't use yourself. Use your valuable time for analysis, for collection, for thinking, have some philosophical debates with your classmates, we'll have some intellectual dialogues with professors. Use that instead of just try to streamline the numbers. That would be very strange, right? Okay, don't use that. Okay. And in all sections of your paper, there are some simple rules out there. You just write normally. It's use normal prose, including articles. Just using your writing style. Everyone's writing style is a little bit different, but normally, they use it in a clear and concise way, brief and clear. Okay, and you have to pay attention to your research topic all the time. Research topic is very important. Why? Because research topic is the mini version of your research purpose. Again, do you agree with that? Research topic is a mini version of your research purpose. For example, if my research purpose is to investigate Wenzhou students' perception towards environmental protection, right? This is my research purpose. Then what would be the research topic of my paper? Maybe similar something like this. College students' perception towards environmental protection, a survey study of Wenzhou students. Is that right? So you can see it's a very close. The concept, the study issues identified from research topic and research problem, the same. The study population from the research topic and research purpose, the same, right? And in addition to that, because you can imagine this, when I said my research purpose is to investigate Wenzhou students' perception toward environmental protection, then there should be a lot of people out there, right? So a survey seems reasonable. So that's why I identify in my research topic, I say a survey study of Wenzhou students. The research methods is also identified. Is that right? So they are corresponding. And throughout your writing, you have to stay focused on the research topic of your paper. Of course. If in your study, your real action of conducting your study, you have really followed all the process with the focus of your research topic, then there should be no problem. That is to say, for example, when you have findings, When you have after you discuss the finding, you have the meanings of the findings. Then you have to ask yourself, do I address the meanings to the research purpose? You have to answer, because research purpose is some open-ended essay question you post for yourself. So basically, every research paper, the question, who gave the question to you? You, yourself, right? And what kind of sources you can count on for answering the open-ended essay question? The data you have collected, that's you again, right? So basically, you give yourself a question, and you have to do all the part to provide the answer by yourself. So it's a question, it's the answers. So this is a logical loop. Everything is related to research problem, okay? So you have to keep in mind. And there's another way to observe this statement. Staying focused on the research topic of the paper. There's another way. If something, throughout your research progress, you found out that they may be interesting, but not relevant to your research topic, what should you do? Take it away. It's not relevant. It's irrelevant at all. Kick them out. It's none of your business, right? For example, if your research purpose after this section is to find a good restaurant for your lunch with your friends, right? Okay, research purpose is straightforward. This is still research because it fits some contribution. What kind of contribution? You can have a good moods with your friend, good moods, right? Good food and good moods. And also you can fulfill your belly and feel energized again and have a good day. Wow, that's a very, very contributed to your life, right? So that's why you want to have a good research. So look here, maybe along the way, there are some other issues may be interesting. For example, okay, before you can go to a restaurant, you have work out the data collection and finalize the data analysis. You decide to go to some restaurant that's very fancy with a group of people, your folks around you. So maybe go to the way you are going to a restaurant. You find out, oh, there's a flower stand there. It's so interesting. Let's take a look. It's irrelevant. Oh, there's a puppies out there waving her tails at you. Oh, good, let's pet her. Irrelevant. They are all irrelevant because they have nothing to do with your purpose of getting yourself have a good mood with a good food. Is that right? So, what should you do? Neglect. Take it away. However, in real life, it's very difficult for you to stay focused. You will always believe that they are something that must be done, must be cared of by yourself. Okay, let's take a 10 minutes break and come back again. And the second line is stay focused on the research topic of the paper. It's very important because all the efforts throughout your research, it's about to address or answer the research purpose, right? So all your efforts must be relevant. So don't just dawdle around to pet the dog or to care for the flowers. No, they are irrelevant. Although they are interesting, but not necessary. Okay? And you have to be good at your writing style. So you need to use paragraph to separate each important point, except for the abstract, of course. Because in abstract is only one paragraph. Of course, there are some requirements, some necessary components for you to present in the abstract. Later, I will tell you how to write one. So remember, one paragraph, one point. One paragraph, one key point. And you have to use your topic sentence for each paragraph. So a paragraph led by topic sentence is very important. So don't just use our Chinese style. Our Chinese style of writing is very cursive. 起承转合 is kind of very artistic, but it's not really corresponding to requirements of English writing, or especially for academic writing. So don't do this. So you have to be careful. Use a topic sentence all the time, because your professors will the first look at the topic sentence first. At least this is my practice. I need to identify the main focus of your paragraph first, right? So this is the purpose for the topic sentence. And also you have to indent the first line of each paragraph. That is, if this is a paragraph, and if this is writing for paragraph, first one, indent it. You have to indent it and follow with something like this, okay? So be careful, you need to do something like this. So this is indented. You have to do this for each paragraph. And this is the academic standard. And you have to present your points in logical order. And let's see this one, it's kind of tricky. Logical order. Let's see here. In each paragraph, present one important point, right? So we have a point 1. This is point 1. And this is point 2. This is point 2. Let's do this way. Point 2. And the first line is indented, right? Point 2. And we have a point 3. And point 3. So you see, we have suppose simply for speaking, we have 3 points. So you can see our 3 points here. This is point 1, point 2, and point 3. Is that right? So point 1, 2, 3 should be in logical order. So you say after 1, then we have 2, then we have 3, right? Then how can you have it presented clearly? Very simple. Carefully and wisely use your topic sentence. This is your topic sentence for point 1. Topic sentence. And this is your topic sentence for point 2. And this is topic sentence for point 3. Very simple, right? So, if you can identify the logical order of your topic sentences through 1, 2, 3, and you find out that they are reasonable, they are logical, then you have a good logical order. Very simple, right? Okay? So that is why it is so important to have a logical order of topic sentences for all of your paragraphs. So imagine this. You want to talk about this point. You talk about this point first, and then you talk about this point, and then this point. And you expand it into full discussion inside one paragraph. And all the discussion inside the same paragraph for point 1 is about this. Is that right? It's about this. For point 2 is about this. For point 3 is about this. So you can imagine this. As a writer for yourself, it will be much easier for you to control, manipulate all your logical description in this way. Much easier. If you can have a very clear order of your topic sentences, then your paragraph should be fine. So please do this. Please do this. So basically, you have a discussion in your section. Then inside the same section, try to provide an outline, at least an outline for yourself. And each point, each heading of the outline, you have to convert them into each of the paragraph's topic sentence. That's it. So you string them together, then you have a very, very coherent section. So basically, you ask yourself, if I only read all the topic sentence of my own writing, if I only read the topic sentences of my writing in the same sections, you ask yourself, do they make sense? Are they logical? If they are, congratulations, right? If they are not, there must be something wrong. Something wrong. And once you have the logical orders, make sure they are logically arranged for the topic sentence. Then you continue to explore the body, the paragraph, the whole paragraph over here. The paragraphs of you can continue to explore the paragraph, right? Just say it, that's it. You just write it out. So you have the topic sentence for the sections. And the topic sentences are logically arranged. Then you can focus on each of the topic sentences and expand your argument into a paragraph. And paragraph, then you have a lot of paragraphs for the one same sections. Then you're fine. Okay? And when you argue, and again, it's very important for you to think in this way. When you provide, this is your, let's take this away. Okay, this is your paragraph, right? The first 9 we indented, so we have a paragraph here. This is your paragraph. Sometimes you may learn right up here. So paragraph may look like this, right? Don't align evenly. Please align all the paragraph to the left. So it will be something like this. Something like this. So it's look more like so basically, your topic sentence is the most important sentence for this paragraph. Everything inside the paragraph should be related to the discussion of the topic sentence only. Remember that. Very, very important. Only that. Okay? And then, of course, sometimes you will cite from the evidences from the literature, right? So what would be the proper style for you to say? Okay, you have a topic sentence here, right? So then you will provide a lot of arguments. Remember, all the arguments coming out from your own opinions. Then here is the key evidences. So you will say, according to blah, 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 right? According to Daniel says, writing a paper needs coherence and logics. Cite. So here is a number. We have a number here, right? And we have a number, and we have a citation over here. And continue. So it's very important to present your paper in a logical order so that we can have a coherent paper. Look here. The style of writing a paragraph is very simple. You should do it this way. That is, you have your argument. Then you want to have an argument supported by a strong evidences, right? So you cite from a reliable source or two reliable sources. For example, according to Daniel Lin, and also according to Daniel Lin, and you have to write. But some other professors say this may be the secondary consideration. However, I still believe that it's more important to keep it in logical order. So look here, we have one citation and two citations. Is that right? Remember, citations are used to support your argument. It's very important to keep in mind this way. Citations are used to support your argument, but not to lay out to become the major block of your paragraph. If you do this, you plagiarize. For example, some students, wow, will be so happy. Since professor say we need to have a topic sentence, okay, fine, I provide one. Then this is the This is the first citation. Okay, I give you the number. And this is the second citation. Oops, I use another color. This is the second citation. Okay, since we have learned that we need to give a number, so I still give you a number. And I study a lot, so I give it another citation, references. And of course, I dutifully provide the citation. So look here, we have a 1, 2, 3 here, right? What's wrong with this? Technically, you have followed the protocols of making references, right? But imagine this, the building blocks of the paragraph do not come out from you at all. You have no arguments. You have no arguments. Okay? A lot of students do this. We try to take a linear approach, not to really cut this off. But if we really do, maybe over half of the students will have another years to study in the class, in the department. Please don't do this. I always emphasize, it's just strange. Students always repeat these kind of errors. So remember, citations, literatures are when you cite, you want to take evidences to support your argument in one paragraph. Your argument is supposed to come out from your own ideas, right? So that's why you argue. That's why you argue. Remember, it's very important. Okay, so it's very, very important to keep in mind. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. A proper way should be something like, we have a paragraph. We have a topic sentence here, and we have a topic sentence here, and we should have a lot of discussion and arguments coming out from our words. And because we want to validate our arguments, so we read literatures and find out some other scholars have coincident concur with our opinion. So you provide some of the citations from other people. Maybe sometimes you don't just take one evidence, the positive one, pro one. Sometimes you may want to pop out some other may not agree with you, right? Then, however, so you will continue to argue. So remember here, we have two citation number here, 1 and 2 sometimes, okay? So basically, topic sentence. And all the paragraphs should be related to the argument of the topic sentence. And your argument sometimes needs evidences supporting evidences from the literature. Remember, sometimes, but not all the time. Okay, you don't need to put a citation for each paragraph you write. Don't be so naive. This is not only when you need evidences from the references, from the literature, you do it. Okay? So it's not required for each paragraph to present a number out there. No. If you have a very good reasoning, you have completed with your induction, deduction methods, and you have a very good logic talking about this issue, fine, the end of the story, right? You don't have to need citations. But when you need, just properly cited. So sometimes you need only 1, sometimes you need 2, sometimes you need 3, it's fine. But if you really know the purpose of those citations are for the evidences supported from the literature for your argument, then you are right. Instead of doing this, if you are using citation to make them become the building blocks of your paragraphs, then you are wrong. You plagiarize. Simple. Is that right? So please keep in mind. Don't just copy and paste, and dutifully give a number for citations. Don't do this. Okay? Because it is wrong. Logically wrong. Okay? Then, verb tenses. Normally, in a report, we will use present tense to report well-accepted facts. For example, the grass is green. The purpose of my study is, okay, before it was, but now it still is, okay? But use past tense to describe scientific results. Everything you have done, when you are able to write your report, when you are able to do this, then every details of what you have done before is already done, right? So you have to report your verb in past tenses, most of the scientific results. But how about in proposal? In proposal it's different. In proposal you are describing what you are going to do, right? So you will is fine. You will is fine. Future tense. But once you finalize your study, you present your report. You report what you have done, right? So should be did in the past tense. Okay, so be careful. It's very important because it is very, very annoying. Very annoying when I know your writing is about the past, but since student, I will collect data from what you're talking about. You have collected the data, but you in your paper you say I will. Apparently, it is something that direct taken out from the proposal. I prove there without any revision at all. So don't do this. Okay? And another one is please avoid informal wording. Hey man, what's up, dog? Don't do this. So stupid. Don't do this. Oh, don't use contraction. What is contraction? When you say if it is, then it is. Don't use it's. This is informal writing. Don't do this. So you have to do it formally. Okay? So it's very important to keep in mind. And when you say cannot, this is cannot. Don't use can't. Don't use can, not. Don't. This is the correct word for writing cannot. So this is not. This is not. Don't do this. Okay? And don't talk to readers. Hey, you. no, don't say this. Because you are presenting the paper in trying to become an objective way, right? So it seems that you are talking to the air. Speak to the audience unknown. So don't address to readers. And don't use jargon, slang terms, or superlatives. It's the most important one. No. Oh, don't use should. Don't use better. No, don't use words that carry a kind of value of judgments. Because,
sorry, Professor. Why can't we use jargon? Because jargon is like professional words in the specific field, right?
Not really. Here, jargon refers to the words used by street kids. Some kind of jargon. I would say this. Don't use specific jargons. For example, yesterday my daughter sent me a very simple phrase. Because their company wants to recruit new hands. So she said that we have openings for SDE2 and MFP. I have no idea at all. These are the jargons. And if they are working in the same field, they would know. Is that right? So don't use this. Because if you are using jargons, then only people specialized in this field can understand what you talk. So try to avoid this. Don't use it. Okay? Don't assume that everyone knows their jargon. Don't use that. Okay? And also don't use moral appealed words. People should have freedom. If you really want to do this, go to become a pastor. Go to work for the church. Really, you're not conducting research. And don't say that the death penalty should be abolished. Don't say that. Don't use should word. because that's we are not preacher. We are not nuns or monks full of moral teaching. No, we don't do this. We are identify the problem, collect data, and present the analysis. That's it. Okay, so don't do this. And the last point is always committed by our students. Avoid use of superfluous pictures. What is superfluous? Not needed, extra. Just out there, 多余的. You don't want to have a superfluous pictures. And remember, every picture, every table you include in your discussion, your paper, must be relevant. Must be relevant to the topics, right? Okay, so you need to include only those figures or tables necessary to presenting results. This is very important. In other words, there's a very simple rule, 1, 2, 3 rule. Let me describe to you. Okay, here is our paper. This is our pages, 2 pages of paper, right? Okay, 2 pages. Now you have a table or a figure, right? Supposedly you have a figure over here. And you give a caption here, so we have a figure 1, blah, 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 right? Okay. If you really want to put a figure or a table here, you need to provide elaboration about the figure with about 3 times of the length of the figure. That is, you need to provide about this long discussion about the table of the figure. So this is 1 and this is 3. Okay. This is correct way to do so. Because this signifies the importance of your figure or table, right? Or otherwise, why do you want to put the table up there? That would be very strange, right? Okay, this is proper way. If you really want to include a figure or a table, make sure you have a sufficient description related to the table. And the rule is very simple, about 1, 2, 3. So this is 1 and this is about 3. 1, 2, 3, right? 3. Okay. That's the idea, okay? And what is the worst scenario? Let me give it to you. Again, we have 2 pages. 1 page and 2 page. Okay, the students are so happy to copy the output from the SPSS. So we have 1 output, 2 output, 3 output, 4 output, 5 output, and continue to describe, and that's it. What is the purpose of those outputs? Why? No purpose at all, right? So remember, don't just copy and paste from anything. If you really want to include a table or figure in your body of text, you need to describe it. You need to elaborate on it. And the rule is 1, 2, 3. You need to 3 times of the description to describe 1 picture. Okay, so this is wrong. This is totally wrong. And why students will always do this? Because it's much easier to increase the pages. Right? Let's put up there. It seems sophisticated. You know, the output from SPS is ooh, something, right? So you can see that a lot of paper can come out from here. Don't do this. Because it serves no paper, no purposes. Remember, our paper need to be short and precise, right? Short and precise. And normally, in an output of a computer program or some kind of figure, if there are 5 tables of output from SPSS, the only thing you need to do sometime, you need to summarize, contrast those tables, and perhaps you will only have a very tiny tables here. All the information here can be condensed into one small table, and you provide 3 times of description to describe the table. That's it. This is the proper way if you really want to have a table. Okay? So be careful. Don't do this. Don't do this kind of just copy and paste. Okay? So remember one thing, and that is very key to your success. Avoid use of superfluous pictures. If that is redundant, not necessary, don't include it. If you really decide to include the pictures and the tables, make sure you have a sufficient amount of description on it. Okay? It's very important. Any questions so far? Whew. If not, let's talk about title page first. Just like this one, we have a title page. Let's see this one. This is title page. I'm using Jiayi, she is sitting up there. Sorry for the copyright infringement. Thank you for your contribution for the class. This is title page, normally. You can see title page, right? Very simple. And she does not invent the title page. The format of the title page will be given to you in the manual. So you can see this is title page, right? And this is the page for signature, copyright page, and this is abstract. And the abstract is only 1 paragraph. Is that right? So all of this format must be followed carefully. Must be. Because they are standardized. Remember, standardized format. Okay, so, and now look here. So title page, you need to select informative titles. Okay, and this informative title normally should include a study issue and a study population. And perhaps you want to include the research methods over there, right? So let's look at her research topic. Okay, a policy for plastic reduction and interview study of environmentalists on the improvement of feasible approaches for Taiwanese government. So this is informative, right? What is the study issue? A policy for plastic reduction, right? And who are the population? Environmentalists, is that right? So basically, she has an interview study for environmentalists and asked them how to improve, how to provide, what will be the feasible approach for the Taiwanese government to have a policy for plastic reduction. Simple. Study, population, study issue, and research methods are all described in the research topic. This is the so-called informative. Okay, informative. You read it, you know. So what will you expect when you read the research methodology? I will expect that, okay, who are the environmentalists you are talking about, right? And what is the research instrument? What is the interview schedule you have? The interview protocol? Because this is interview, right? So tell me, how are you going to conduct the interview? So basically, this tells all the details that need to be presented by the author. Very simple. So you need to be trying to do something closely this way. Okay, and here. So basically, it's title page. So you have include names, address of author. Then this is required. There are different requirements from different departments. So basically here, international affair number 1 would not, for example, if you put an international number 1 would not be an informative title. So if we change all of this, let's see. If we change this, okay, this graduation paper number 56. It's not informative at all, right? There's no idea what are you talking about. GP 56. It sounds like a secret code, right? It's a very, very mysterious weapon. Underline it. If you really want to design a weapon, that would be fine. But GP 56, what does that mean? So GP 56 is not for informative. Just like this one, international affairs number 1 is not informative either, right? So you have to do something informative. Okay, and let's move to the abstract. Abstract, basically it is a concise single paragraph summary of a complete work or work in the process. So basically, what would be the components that you need to include in abstract? Basically, by reading it in a minute or less. Remember, so abstract cannot be long. Normally, it's about around 200 words. Around that. You should not present your abstract in 2 pages. If that is 2 pages, you cannot read it in 1 minute, right? So imagine this. If you only require your readers to spend 1 minute to understand the major context of your study, then use it wisely. 1 minute. So you can learn the rationale behind the study, general approach of the problem, pertinent results, and the important conclusion of main questions. Okay, let's go to here. That will be much easier for you to understand. What are the major components you need to write? Let's look at this. First, you need to describe what you have observed. Let's see. Here, what do you have described? And what is the problem? So basically, starting from here to here, establish the background of the study, right? Okay, the background of the study, and then you have to tell your readers what is your purpose of your study. Is that right? The purpose of the research purpose. And since you have described what you want to do, this is what you want to do. Okay? And then you have to tell your readers about what is the approach, what are the methods you took to deal with the research purpose. See? 7 environmentalists. This is the method. Since you have described your methods, then tell me what you have found. After you describe your findings, then tell me what kind of contribution or implication of your study. Wow, great. So, that's it. Very simple. Yeah?
How can an abstract be different from an introduction?
Huh?
How can an abstract be different from an introduction?
Differential introduction?
How can it be different from an introduction?
Oh, okay. Introduction is you have to provide a full description of the background of you have observed. But look here, this is a very short version, right? Very short. Just to point out the main key things out there. So let's look at the structure here. It's very important for you to keep in mind. Basically, an abstract should include 4 parts. 4 parts. The first part is about your research background. How do you have your research? Okay? So identify the status. Point out the issue gap that can motivate you. The first step. This is number 1. Number 2, you need to clearly identify your research purpose. What do you want to do? So here is number 2. Right? Number 2, starting from here. After you have described your research purpose, you need to tell your readers, okay, with what approach you fulfill your research purpose. Okay, so this is research method. Research method, number 3. Number 3. Number 4, you have to tell your readers about the findings and the implications of your study. So you have to clearly identify the findings here. The findings, blah, 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 and the implication, blah, blah, blah here. So number 4. So very simple, right? Very simple. It doesn't matter how many words required from a specific journal article. You need to write your abstract in this logical order. First, tell what you have observed. What's wrong with this? So that you have a research purpose. Is that right? So you see, this is very straightforward, right? Identify what it is. What's wrong with this? And what is your research purpose? What first section we have, right? And then you move on. Since you have your research purpose, tell me how have you achieved it? So this is the description about your research methods, right? Okay, you tell me your methods, then let me know what you have found. So this is findings. Great, then you have findings. What is the usefulness of your study? So, okay, very small words here. So remember, it doesn't matter how long you are required to present your abstract. You always write your abstract in this logical order. 50 words, fine. 300, 500 words, fine. Always follow this one. Why it is important in this way? Because as a reader I will expect that you write in this way. At the first of the abstract, I will see what is the background of your research, right? After you describe your background of your research, I will see where is your research purpose. After you describe your research purpose, I'm interested in. I have been already interested in your research. Tell me, what is your research method you have taken? You did this. Great. What have you found? After your findings, what kind of implication contribution you have? That's it. See? If you know the logical and rationale of writing an abstract, you will do the same thing. Because you will expect that the reader, the researcher present in this same way, right? So it's very simple. Actually, not only Jai do this, many other students will do the same. Because they have trained and they have learned this already. Okay, so see, it's kind of sophisticated, right? Jai. It's very simple. I did not intentionally take her. I just found it, so that I use it. So you see that fits the rationale, yeah?
Should I write the abstract at the end of the research?
Yes, of course. Because only the abstract is the last part, the last piece of article you need to write. You can only do this after you have finished all this. So this is the last piece of paper. Now remember, the purpose of abstract is that you want your readers to use 1 minute to decide whether it is worthwhile for their time to read over your paper. Okay? And this part of writing, the abstract is always presenting the first page of your. If you uploaded your paper to an archive, normally you will see the abstract, right? And you will allow your readers to read the abstract to decide whether they want to retrieve the whole article or not. So it's very important. It's very important. And you should write it this way. And you will be surprised to find out all the trained academic, intellectual scholar students, they are all presenting in this way. You will find out they will do this. They will do this. Then there's no other way to present a good abstract. This is the only way. First, you have to identify your research purpose, your research methods, your findings, your implication. That's it. Very simple, right? And this is a very, 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 very minimized version of your all paper. Is that right? Let's see. Let's see. Basically, this is the major components for chapter 1. Is that right? And this is the components for chapter 3, data analysis. There's no literature review here, okay? You don't have to describe it. Chapter 3, research methodology. And over here, findings is about chapter 4. Chapter 4. And here implication is about chapter 5. Do you see that? They are corresponding to the larger body text. Okay, so chapter 1, 3, 4, and 5 condensed into one very small paragraph. The same, it's just enlarge it and shrink it to a very small piece of abstract. So writing, doing research is so fun, so interesting. It's just, they are all corresponding to each other. It's not a magic, you know, it's not really a magic, it's just a way of science. Okay, can you do this? I believe so, right? Not difficult. Okay, any idea for this one? Okay. So you can take some time, go to read the abstract of other students to see whether they have followed the format. At first, you should be able to identify the background of the research first. And so that after reading that, you should be able to identify the research purpose. And then after elaborating the research purpose, you should be able to identify the research methods. And after the description of research method, there should be the result of data analysis findings, right? And implications. That is something you can follow. Try your best to identify it. Okay. So this is the abstract, okay? And let's move to how to write an abstract. Well, it's just like this. Basically, the purpose of study, the first part, right? And model organism and brief description of the experiment. This is for nursing and a scientific experiment, but it's the same methods. This is methods, right? And the third part is the result findings. And this is in conclusion, implications. So see, we still have 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one is background and research purpose. The second one is about research methods. The third one is about finding, and the fourth one is about contribution or implications. Same. The wording may be different, but the logic are the same. Do you see this one? Same. Okay. Okay, let's see introduction. Chapter 1, introduction. For graduate paper, chapter 1, basically you have to, if we look at the purpose of the introduction, basically, when we write out our research paper, you have to recognize one important fact. Basically, the research paper provides a very standardized format, allow you to present your thoughts in a logical way, allow you to do so. So when you write your paper, if you can understand what you need, why you want to do this, then that will be close to your learning. Indeed, you need to understand why I need to present this. So let me give you a very similar, let's skip this part, and I think that will be much easier for me to do so. Why is that? Okay. Let me use this to give you some idea about the correspondences between your thoughts and ways for you present your paper. Okay, let's see this one. I use this one. This is about your thought. And all your effort is for you. All efforts, right? Okay. And this is chapter 1, introduction. Okay, introduction. So you will find out they are corresponding to each other. First, your thought, when you identify the problem, what happened to you first? What happened to you first? You have observed something, right? You observe something. So basically, you see something over there. You see them. I'm not a good artist, but this is I am, right? Look at something, you see something. So basically, the first part of introduction is very simple. It's the description, background information. You see, we have a background. Background, that's just a description of what happened. Okay, so you see, okay? And the second process, you see this, right? Then you will be wondering about one thing, what's wrong with this? Is that right? You might think about this, what's wrong with this? Then here background, and you will provide some discussion about what it should be for the background. So basically you will provide a very small scale literature review, try to identify the evidences from literature to say, okay, what's wrong for this one? You need to provide a description for this one, right? Okay? You see what it is here, and then you find out there's something wrong, okay? And then you think, if this solved, then I could do some kind of contribution. This is another thought. You see the scenario, you find there's some difficulty or problem out there. So if I do something to solve the problem, then maybe helpful. You think about this way. So further with this, what do you need to write? You need to provide the motivation of your research. Is that right? Because there is a gap between these two. There's a gap. And with the gap, you have some motivation. You write it out. Motivation, you have to describe what kind of contribution you will have. That's all right? Okay, so in your thoughts, your thinking process, you think, if I could do something, then if I have done something to deal with the difference between what happened and the problem, right? Then I should have some contribution. So I could do something. So I have a research purpose here. Is that right? So in introduction, the next part for you is to write out the research purpose. Do you see the format, the logical process? Basically, the format of research purpose allows you to logically present your thought in a logical order. Okay, let's take 10 minutes here. We'll keep here and then we'll come back again.
需要一直在那广义的关系。吃个饭就好了。
Professor,
Yeah.
Professor, for our final exam, would it be like MCQ, multiple choice questions?
CQ.
Yeah, MCQ, multiple choice.
No, it's an open book.
Perfect. But can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I will give that to you later. Don't worry.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're just showing off of the notes that I took.
Very impressive. Okay, let's continue. So if you see the correspondences between thoughts and chapter 1, you will find out they are actually providing the format for chapter 1 provides necessary space for you to fully develop your thought, your thinking process, right? So look here. So after you think over here, oh, okay, there's a problem. If I do something to a problem, I can have some contribution. So I tell you what I'm going to do. So we have a research purpose, right? Okay. In a research purpose, I focus on some study issue with the data collection from some segment of the study population, right? Okay. So study issue, study population. But it would be very difficult for me just go directly to collect data to answer the research purpose. So I think what would be the possibility research questions or research hypotheses I can use so that I can count on them to collect data. So the following step is research questions or research hypotheses. So this is the very, very simple process, right? Okay, after I describe all this, I continue to think, well, that's not it. Although I tell you what I'm going to do and what kind of data collection process I could have so that I can answer the research questions, but there are some limits. My capacity as a researcher may not be that sufficient. So my limited ability. My ability is a little bit limited. So we have a section for limits to describe the administration issue for other readers. So don't be so optimistic. I have some limits. I don't have money. I do not have so much time. I don't have so many resources for me to waste, right? So bear on me. And my skill for statistical analysis is not efficient. So be careful for this. Although I'm trying to do this as perfect as possible, but there are some limits coming out from me. Okay, and once you identify your own limits, then you will think about this. What would be the scope of my study? I only focus on Wenzhou students, but not all the students in Taiwan. Be careful. So don't just expect me to provide so many resources for you. So you have a certain scope for you to highlight, right? So the next section in chapter 1 is the limits. The limits refers to the scope of your study. So I focus on Wenzhou students only. I focus on a small village in Meilong only. And why I choose that, I give you some reasons. So here is that, right? And the next stuff, okay, after I wrap up all the introduction part, some other issues, terms. There's a very special terms here you need to know first. So what will be the terms? So we have a section for terminology in the end. So this is a complete structure for chapter 1. Very simple, right? And actually, if I want them to know what will be the major focus of my study, I have to fully describe it in chapter 1. And this is the whole process of my thinking process. It's very simple. So actually, chapter 1 provides all this for you. Although we can use this to describe it, but basically it tells the story. Okay, so this is the introduction part. And the next part, how to write an introduction, you have to describe the importance of the study. Describe the importance of study. That is, you identify what it is you want to study. And what is the problem of the scenario you have described. And you identify the problem so that these are some contributions. So actually you identify the importance. You have to do it, right? Okay? So you don't have to be careful you don't have to pay too much attention to this introduction part, because this is a very, very standardized form of writing. Basically, let me give you one very simple idea. That is, basically, in your introduction, first, you describe what it is. First, you describe what it is. First, okay? And then, once you identify what it is, then you have to find out what this scenario should be. And this should is not a moral should. It's something established by the scholars, by the common ground, by some kind of common sense. For example, if I observe you are almost starved to death, if you really observation, based on my real observation, wow, all the students sitting here almost died because of hunger. Oh, terrible. You should be fed, right? Because of human rights, so you are hungry, right? All the students are hungry, then you should be fed. Did you see the rationale here, right? So remember, when I say should, this is the criteria or some kind of norm, some kind of consensus established by the general principles, not by moral appeal. For example, I observe you, all of you are almost die because of hunger. Then my should side, okay, as a student, you should devote all you can have. This is nothing. That's quite perfect, normal. As hungry as you are, that can show your devotion to education. It's kind of moral appeal. It's totally wrong, right? So remember, you need to find out criteria from literature, from some solid evidences for the purpose of comparison, right? Did you see your description of a scenario compared with some solid evidences from the literature, right? Did you see the gap? So there must some kind of gap over there, right? What is the gap between you are hungry, you should be fed? Anyone can say something about this? It's a verbal expression. It's a bit longer, but it should be something similar to this. The students are hungry, they should be fed, but they are not fed yet. They're not fed yet, right? So you should eat something, but you have not eaten yet, right? So this is the gap. You should be fed, but you are not fed. Okay, great. So there is a gap over here. Okay, let's think about this. There's a gap over here. The next consideration for you is it necessary for me to fill in the gap, to solve the gap? Do I need really to solve the gap? Okay, it's very important. Because if this standard stands, yes, then I have a very strong motivation to do something, right? Okay, so basically you need to provide the motivation over here. Do you really need to solve the gap? For example, you are almost hungry to death, right? And I know as a common ground you should be fed, but you are not fed. So this is the gap. Okay? And now I will be thinking in one way. Do I need to solve the gap right now? Do I need to feed you right now? Well, we still have 40 minutes to go. I don't think that you will die in 40 minutes. So it's not a big deal. Come on, keep hungry. See? I noticed there's a gap, but I don't think that it's necessary for me to answer the gap. Is that right? So I will have no motivation to solve the gap. So if there is no feeling at all to solve the gap, or you don't believe that solving the gap is necessary, or there is any contribution that I can do by filling in the gap, then there will be no motivation. If you have no motivation at all, then there will be no research. Is that right? Very simple. So basically, you have to specifically identify the benefits, the contribution for you to solve the gap. So here, my beloved students are so poor, they are almost hungry to die. As a teacher, I cannot be so cruel, so I need really to find some food to feed them. This is a very strong motivation. By feeding them, they could have more energy to study more harder. Oh, very strong motivation. It's a great contribution. So if you study harder, then you can power for final examinations. Wow, that's the final contribution I can think of. So I need to find some food. So look here, to my motivation of feeding you can bring out a lot of contributions, right? So what would be the next logical process for me to express? So, my purpose of the study is to find the necessary food to feed all the 40 students sitting here. See, I have a research purpose. Do you see the logical process here? It's very simple, very simple. Basically, just answer a very simple question. That is, how can you have your research purpose? How can you come up with your research purpose? You have to remember one thing. Your research purpose does not just come out from your dream. It comes out from a very logical reasoning process. You have seen something, right? And you compare the thing with some certain criteria. So the criteria must be based on a logical, reasonable result. Sometimes they come out from the evidences from the literature. Sometimes it comes out from the known that accepted by most of the people, right? Okay, sure. So you observe the reality happening, real happening. You compare it with some certain criteria, and you identify the gap. You find that something missing there, something missing there. Then the next step you need to describe in your introduction is, you have to decide. You have find out the gap, right? Then you have to decide, do I need to solve it? Do I need to solve it? What kind of contribution I could have if I solve it? If the answer is yes, of course, you have a strong motivation, right? If the answer is no to you, then there's nothing you should do. You will do nothing. Because there's no further step to go, right? So here, if you believe that there's some contribution that if you solve the gap, if you answer the gap, if you fill in the gap, then the next step for you is to provide. You have a very strong motivation. So that you say, okay, my research purpose is to do this. Okay? So basically, your research purpose, you lay out your research with all this long process. So be careful about one thing. The most important sentence in your research is your research purpose. Because research purpose is the final product of your introduction. It's just like a diamond. It's just something that is produced so fine, so finished. It comes out from your description about the reality, and your comparison with of the reality, between the reality and the criteria you believe that should be there. You identify the gap. You carefully think about whether to solve the gap and try carefully identify the contribution that may come out from your solution of the gap. That's your motivation, right? Because you have such a strong motivation, so you will have a research purpose. And your research purpose, of course, is to deal with the gap. Is that right? Deal with the gap. It's a process. So the statement for your research purpose must be in one sentence only. And that sentence must be very, very clear, precise. And just you have to treat it as a diamond because all other efforts are circling around the research purpose. All of your research efforts are circling around the research purpose. Okay? So just something like this one. Let me draw a very simple picture for you. It will be something like you describe all the things. You describe. It will be, that will be much easier. So basically, the research purpose is very, very slow. It stands in a very important pivotal positions of your study. This is your research purpose. Let's say, for example, this is your research purpose. Very, very small, one sentence, right? This research purpose come out from your discussions of your reality, the comparison you made, trying to find out the shoot part, identify the gap, and consolidate your motivation. So you have a research purpose. So basically it comes out from here. So this is one very important sentence for you to tell your readers. Here is what I'm going to do. And after this, then there will be laying out all the full explanation, full elaboration about the research, but how are you going to achieve the research purpose? So it's just like this. Once you have the research purpose, right, and then you will continue to expand it. With all the effort, expand of your effort, literature review, research methodology, and data analysis. And then, come back again to have a conclusion here. And the conclusion should be able to address the research purpose. It's very simple, okay? So basically, you can see from here, this is something you pop up for yourself, right? And through all the effort, literature review, data analysis, and the conclusion discussion, then you will have something here for you to answer the question you pop out. And you have to tell your reader, how have you come out of the research, the essay question for yourself? And this is the process. You have to tell your readers. And this part is described in chapter 1. Chapter 1, that's it. Okay? So the format, the logical process are really corresponding to each other. You will learn more after next semester. Your advisor will teach you, will guide you to go through all the process. So don't worry about that. And I will skip to the last part, because this is very technical, not really for you to. Reminder, we have a final examination. It's an open book. And later I will send you, post the link on the 9 so that you can have it, you can start, write it right now, and give me the final the result by next Tuesday, next Monday midnight, yes, and that will be fine. This is the last you should do. And also there will be a complete research portfolio. I will send you a template later today, and you will have it, and you have to go through all the research portfolio. There are 11 steps for you to write, right? You have to finish it. Once I receive your copy, you need to provide the hard copy and the file to me. By the time I ask you, there's a due date, I will tell you. And I will collect your research portfolio and present them to your individual advisors. So basically, your research portfolio will serve as very important references for them to start their consultation with you. Okay? So carefully write it out. Of course, before I send them to your advisors, I will grade it. That's personal assignments, right? Okay. So far, any question? Yeah.
I have a question. If you're going to be in any of our panels, what are you looking at the research? What are your criteria to say, wait, this is a quality of research, and this person most likely you will give a thumbs up and will be able to pass. What are the criteria for doing presentation and for the paper?
You mean review?
Yeah.
Paper.
Review.
Paper. Definitely papers. Yeah. You know, in the reviewing session, evaluation session in 小会, as we know it, right? It's not really about presentation. It's about your papers. So don't believe that if I present well, if I have very good command of English, then all else can be neglected. No, it's paper. It's, you know, the reviewing session is just a process for you to, for professors to clarify some of the points they have tried to verify. That's it. And also encourage you to make a final presentations. So basically it is the paper, not the presentation. Don't make wrong of it. And 大会 conference is different. 大会 is for the final show, the enigma of the department students, right? Just it's a show. But remember, 小会, the review evaluation session is really something for you to defend your thesis. Although we cannot conduct it in a very, very strict way, but we have a system to do it. But basically, it's about your paper, not presentation. Presentation is for you to earn your tickets to get into the conference sometime. Because if you have a good performance on presentation, then it's more showable to some extent, right? If you cannot say it clearly, it will be difficult for you to perform on the larger stage. So to some extent, it's just for that. But for the quality of your score or your final score is based on your paper.
One thing I find interesting is that during the 小会, no one actually defended it.
Because of the time limit, you can imagine this. A real academic review on such paper, right, almost require 2 hours for one individual. So you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. So that is the problem. So basically, just as I have described, we provide this occasion for students to stand up and to present their findings. And because the presentation does serve some purpose, it allows students to really formally organize their thoughts in a proper way to tell others. And this kind of skill will be used in the future when they present their case in their own work, right? So it should be helpful. But no time to defend. We will give students our advices, and they will do it afterwards. So now tomorrow is the last day for them to provide their revised paper. So a lot of students just walk around the department asking for signature. Kind of interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but based on what Larry just said, how will you see? Because most of the guys, they're just kind of apologize about their research instead of defending. If there is their research, they should be able to
apologize for their paper is a very Chinese way, you know. Yeah, Chinese always say, oh, 对不起，我的 paper 实在不怎么样啊. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's a cultural thing. But actually, when I defended my dissertation, doctoral dissertation, and one professor really accused me, my approach, my ways of data analysis, statistical analysis could have been used but with another approach. And at that time, I stood up and told him that you are wrong. So nice, good feeling. You're wrong, because this is non-parametric data. So I cannot use parametric way to analyze that. It's a little bit complicated. But anyway, non-parametric data. So that's why I use non-parametric method to analyze it. Reasonable, right? So basically, you know, a real defense real academic dependence takes time, and which we do not have, right? So that's why we use this occasion to encourage students to prepare. But most of the evaluations are based on the quality of your papers. I assure you that it's true, the quality of your paper, not your way you say it. So you'll find out that some students in Xiaohui may have a very good performance in presentation, right? But they still receive not a great grade because of the papers, because we look at the papers. Okay, so write your paper well. Any other question? Okay, I will cut it short now because I believe that I'm hungry and you're hungry too. So let's get to solve the starvation problem first. And later I will send you the link through email for the open book question, the final examination. And also I will send you a template for complete research portfolio on the 9th too. So you will receive 2 documents today. Okay, good luck and have fun.